Hey, what's up guys? In this video we are going to see how we can use locals block in Terraform file, and then how we can reference that local block in the resource block using reference, or you can say the interpolation method. So there is a very good documentation available on the Terraform for the local values. So I will provide this link in the description so you can check from there. So this is how you can declare the local block. You have to use locals name, and then in the curly braces you have to provide the attribute and value details. And when you want to call that, you can call using something like this local and then that particular attribute name. So it will provide that this particular forum value in your resource attribute. Okay, so there is one more thing that you need to consider, that is when you create the local block, you have to use locals as a name, which is a plural name, and when you want to reference that in a particular attribute, then you have to use local, so it is a singular name, and make sure you have to remove this s from locals when you reference that in any resource block. Okay, so to take that example, what we can do is, let's create availability set, a multiple availability set using locals value, and we'll provide that particular resource group location, which is the fixed value which is not going to change. We'll provide that in a locals block, and then we'll call that in a reference for the resource block. So let me go back to the Azure documentation page, and here I can search for availability set, and I will get this result over here. And here you can see that it's actually creating the resource group, and then it's giving the resource group over here. And this is the availability set block which I required. So let me go to our Visual Studio Code. I will create one more folder over here, and I will call that as AVSET. Okay, and inside this AVSET folder I will create one more new file, and I will call that as avset.tf. Okay, so let me go to this file. Now let me copy this block, and I will paste that over here. Okay, now let's go back to our argument reference, and you can see that name, resource group, and location are required, and the rest of the thing are optional. But in case if you want to specify a particular values for fault domain and update domain, you can use this two attribute. So if I go to this Azure portal, and let me click on the availability set, and if I click on create, so you can see when I try to create the availability set, it's giving me an option to specify or select the fault domain and update domain, and that is actually depend on your location or your region. So in South India is we only go maximum till 2 for fault domain, but if I select some different location, in this case let's choose East US, then I can use fault domain up to 3. Okay, and the update domain also increases, so we can select this update domain as many as we want. And the use managed is the default value is yes, and if I go back to this reference page, I will get this managed, which is an optional obviously, but the default is true. So you can set that true and false as per your requirement. But in this case, let's take an example that I also want to use this fault domain and update domain, and I will set that 2 and 6. Let's take an example. Okay, and I will use this region East US. So I need this two attribute, which is platform fault domain. So let me copy this, and I will use this over here. I don't need tags, so I will remove this one. I will use platform fault domain count equal to something that I will provide in local block, and I will also need this one, platform fault domain and update domain. Okay, and here let us define our local blocks on top of our resource block. So make sure that you will use locals and then in curly braces, my location is going to same. So I will use this location equal to East US. Okay, just for an example. My resource group is also going to same, so I will use resource group equal to, and then I will use the pre-created resource group in this case. So we have created resource group, this is resource group 1. So let me copy this and I will use this over here. Okay, so we have location, resource group, and then I will use update domain and fault domain as well. So for update domain, so I will use update domain as a 6 and fault domain as 2. Okay, so this naming standard doesn't matter, okay, because we are giving this as a reference in our resource block. So even if you use resource group 1 over here, make sure that you will give this particular name inside our resource block, so that doesn't matter here. So why we are using this local block? So in your case, suppose you are doing some kind of repetition of your resources, so you are creating repetition of particular resources or more than one resources or different type of resources, and you know that there are some values which are going to be standard there, or which are not going to change in your entire terraform.tf file or main.tf file. So in that case, you can just fix or hardcode those values in locals, and then you can use that local block later in our in your resource block. So here I will use location, so I'm going to use local. So make sure that don't provide s over here, just use local and then dot, and this is the attribute name location. Okay, the same goes for resource group name. So here I will use local and then dot and resource group, and then I will use update domain, this one, and the fault domain. Now in my case, I'm creating this one availability set, but let's take an example that let me copy this one, and I'm creating actually 3 availability set. Okay, so let me change the name. So here I will give AVSET 1 as a label, and this is going to be my availability set 1, and I will give 2 over here, and then 3 in this case, this resource block. Same goes for the labeling standard. I will use some name. I'm just using some naming standard over here, and that is the best practice that you can use in Terraform. So always use naming standard. Use 2, and this is the 3 one. So here you can see that we are creating 3 availability set, and the only thing that is going to change or value that is going to change is the name of the availability set, and the rest of the attributes values are going to be same. So in this case, we are using local blocks, and we are not taking a value from the end user. So in case you want to take the value on the end user, or you want to provide that value on the fly when you are executing the command, you should use variable blocks. Okay, so what we are doing is we are just hard coding those values in locals, and we are just repeating those values in our resource block. So this is how you can use locals. This is the purpose of locals block. So if you have this kind of scenario in your Terraform, then you can use local blocks. Okay, so we are all set. Now what we need is the main Terraform and provider block. So let me go back to resource group, and we can copy that block from here, and I will use that on the top. Okay, let me save this file, and I have already authenticated. So let me go back to AVSET directory, and from here I will use Terraform init command. Terraform has been successfully initialized. Let me clear this, and I will use Terraform plan. And you can see that it's actually creating 3 resources, and these 3 resources are going to create it, which is nothing but our availability set. So let me go back to the portal, and here under this resource group 1, we just only have this virtual network, we don't have anything. Okay, so let me switch back over here, and I will use Terraform and then apply auto approve, and I will hit enter. So you can see 3 resources has been successfully created. Let me go back to the portal, and I will click refresh. And you can see 3 availability set has been successfully created in this resource group. So this is how you can use your local blocks. Okay, so guys, I will upload this code in GitHub repository. You can download that code from there. I will provide this link in the description. So I will highly recommend you to go ahead and do the practice from your end, so you will better understand how to use that blocks in particular scenario.